Hi, I'm Lisa Leiter. In Chicago Business Today, Groupon's founders. Illinois Governor Pat Quinn announced yesterday that he is creating an innovation council meant to find creative ways of boosting the state economy. Leading it, Brad Keywell, co-founder of Groupon. Crain's recently sat down with Keywell and his partner Eric Lefkofsky to talk about the Chicago tech scene and their process for finding their next big hit.
It's kind of been a magnet. People have all of a sudden realized you can build a really world-famous and world-renowned technology company in Chicago, and so everyone's kind of like looking around under the rocks trying to figure out what else is happening. And people who were here and had great ideas aren't leaving and are kind of running around saying, let's stay here. So it's certainly been a magnet for that, and so it's increased our deal flow and probably others that invest in similar stuff.
The ambition of a lot of existing businesses, I think, has changed since Groupon sort of broke out from the Chicago scene and became internationally known. It seems that more people who have had businesses have changed their own personal, trajectories of what their businesses could be, and that's been an opportunity for us as well to back entrepreneurs that have like a renewed sense of optimism.
There are no rules. We're fortunate that we get to work on companies that we think are cool and exciting and we think can make a difference. We tend to work on big ideas, things that can be really disruptive, things that could change a big market. But beyond that, there's no rules. I mean, we look for very passionate, talented entrepreneurs that have an idea and a vision in a space we're attracted to. We're obviously pretty attracted these days to the emerging social net. But beyond that, there's kind of no rule. One trend is things are getting more social. Things are getting more mobile. Things are getting more local. So these would just be kind of seismic trends of the internet. And so if we find businesses that can take advantage of that, then we want to take a look at it.
I find myself being attracted to businesses that couldn't exist before now. And when you think about that as a lens to look at a business, it opens up a spectacular broad array, but it also filters out a number of opportunities as well. If you think about the social graph, it really has emerged as a legitimate platform to build a business on in the last year or two. When you think about people's appetite for mobile and tablet technology as a way to interact with a business, that's emerged in the last year or two. And when you think about the acceptance of a lot of big businesses of technology as a part of their lives, that's also emerged in the last year or two. So as a result, a bunch of businesses show up that are uniquely suited for right now.
The process of raising money can be really challenging. The first is that often you have the money that kind of sits on a totally different side of the table than the founders. So they build into their investment all kinds of protections and restrictive covenants that make it so that they could easily have a good outcome even though the founders don't have a good outcome, as the founders get crammed down. We don't do that. We're very focused on owning big parts of the company, the same as the founders. Common stock, we want to sit right alongside them, we want to be like them, and we want to work like them. That's the other advantage that we bring, which I think is it's a very Chicago or Midwestern mentality, which is we're not just going to give you money, we're going to actually take responsibility. We're going to do stuff. We're actually going to, when we sit around the table and say these are the 10 things that have to get done with the founders of these businesses, we're like, okay, you do 3, you do 3, he'll do 3, I'll do 3. Okay. Instead of just like, I'll show up at a board meeting and let me know how it went.
We're participants in the process versus investors in the process, and that's a huge distinction. And when you align yourself with the founders and you're signing up to work with them to figure out what it takes, number one, that to me is really value add. And number two, so if you look at our history, what we really are comfortable doing is building businesses. And so when we bring that sort of bias to the table, the founders can really see that we can show up and add value. It's unquestionable that there's more startup and early stage businesses today in Chicago than I think there have been in the past. And I think as part of that, more people probably come to Chicago hoping to be part of that community. So I don't think that they're coming to Chicago from Palo Alto necessarily, but I do think that they're coming to Chicago from Minneapolis and from Iowa and Detroit. And they're coming here because there's so much activity. This is a phenomenal city with this amazing business culture, and I think Groupon and Lightbank and many others have now added an entrepreneurial part of that community that's sort of woken it up and lit it up a little bit.
Some of Lightbank's newest ventures include Sprout Social, 60mo, Poggled, and Fuda. Keywell and Lefkowski say they could spend more than the $100 million they initially pledged to spend over the next decade on startup companies in the Midwest. Well, that's this edition of Chicago Business Today. For more on this story, be sure to check out chicagobusiness.com. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.